Welcome to our posts. Today we will see stories of r/malicious compliance. My IT director's emails look awfully suspicious. 3 months ago, my company had a 2-hour-long seminar about email phishing and how to prevent it. This seminar also included an update to our email software. Our software has a preview feature. If you hover over a link, it opens a preview of the link. Anyway, I got an email from our IT director saying I was in violation of their internet policy by using social media, a main part of my job, and I was stupid and opened it. It was a phishing test and they made me do another 2-hour-long seminar. That week, I get the following email from our director. Sent with high importance. Subject: Phishing email test. Hello everyone. This is a reminder to stay aware of phishing emails. Please review the PDF guide and take a short quiz, link, to test your skills by 5 p.m. Thank you. IT Director's name. Now on this email attachment, one of the signs to report an email is if it is pressuring you to click a link. So I feel like that I should report this as phishing, so I did. I get this email from the director 1 hour later. Subject: Reporting emails. Hello everyone. We have received numerous phishing reports about the email about the phishing quiz. Please note, any email sent from insert IT director email here is not phishing. We have included a new link for your convenience. Thank you. IT director name. To me, this email looks even more suspicious than the last one, so I do the natural thing and report it to stay vigilant. I have been doing this over 2 months and everyone keeps getting an email saying that this email is not phishing. Please don't make us sit through 2-hour seminars. Next story. How my dad didn't go to Vietnam. In 1969, my dad graduated from Rice University with a 5-year master's in chemical engineering. Edit: Since so many commenters seem to think he was some kind of rich kid, his parents both taught public school, and he went to college on a full academic scholarship. The Vietnam War was raging, and although he and his classmates had all received deferments during their studies, their deferments were over and it was time for them to go before the draft board. Most of his classmates weren't worried, because they were slated to see the Houston Draft Board, which had a reputation for handing out continued deferments like Halloween candy. However, my dad is from Oklahoma, which meant that he had to be evaluated by the Tulsa Draft Board, which was much stricter. Dad had applied to the chemical engineering PhD program at Stanford and had been accepted with a full stipend. He was excited to go, but first he had to get past the draft board. The Stanford faculty wrote a letter to the Tulsa Draft Board explaining that Mr. Hammer would be embarking on a research program that would greatly benefit the war effort and asking for another deferment. The Tulsa Draft Board wrote back in short order. Mr. Hammer had already benefited from the only deferment he was going to get, and thus he was to present himself to the Army Physical Examination Center post-haste. Dad was sad to lose his shot at a PhD, but not too sad, because now he could marry my mom. He'd also had several job offers already, so he accepted an offer from Exxon and he and my mom got married. His superiors at Exxon wrote another letter to the Tulsa Draft Board, explaining that Mr. Hammer was now gainfully employed in the oil and gas industry, where he would be conducting engineering research that would greatly benefit the war effort, and asking for another deferment. Just as quickly, the Tulsa Draft Board wrote back, reiterating that Mr. Hammer was not going to receive another deferment, and that if he didn't hurry up and get his Army physical, they might have to get the law involved. Disappointed, my dad went to his Army physical as scheduled. He's always been a healthy guy, and he performed just fine on most of the examinations, up until the very end, when they measured his heart rate. It was over 100 beats per minute. Well, we can't pass you with that, said the Army doctors. But you're probably just nervous. Come back in 2 weeks and we'll give you another physical. Nervous, said my dad to himself. I can work with that. For the next 2 weeks, my dad spent every spare moment basically teaching himself the opposite of meditation. He'd close his eyes and think of the most horrifying mental images he could, trying to drive his heart rate as high as possible. Finally, the day of the physical arrived, and things went much as before. He passed nearly everything with flying colors, but when the time came to measure his heart rate, once again it was well over 100. The Army doctors promptly diagnosed him with tachycardia, scored his physical 4F, and sent him home. He's in his 70s now, and apart from his mysteriously high heart rate, which I inherited, he's always been in great cardiac health and still is. Next story. But you said you didn't want my help, Karen. I'm a bridal consultant at a very popular bridal salon in my town. I have many years of experience and love what I do. Most of the bridal gowns in my shop are special order, meaning they must be ordered before they are made by the designer, and lead times can be anywhere from 4 weeks to 8.5 months. Not everyone knows this when they come shopping for a gown. That's the whole point of me being there. I make sure we can get the dress in time, any desired customizations or alterations are possible, and that the price is within the bride's budget. Well, when this particular bride and her mother stepped into the store, they went immediately to the racks and started ripping through the neatly hung gowns. I introduced myself, explaining that I would be their consultant for the appointment. This bride had a fairly short engagement, about 4.5 months, and I knew that only some of the gowns would be available in time. As I tried to explain to her and her mother the process, she sharply cut me off and told me to just let us shop and leave us alone. I was stunned to be spoken to so rudely. So I did as I was told. I left them alone. Even when I saw them looking at dresses twice her budget that wouldn't arrive until months after her wedding. I never took any of the gowns back to a dressing room or asked her if she'd like to actually try them on. Even after they stood by for a while, clearly waiting for me to take her back to the dressing rooms, I just continued on with my other work as if they didn't exist. Eventually they realized that I had not intentions of acknowledging or helping them in any way, and they left without getting to try on any gowns. The owner asked me about it after they left, and I told her the whole story. She laughed and said, "Good for you." Next story. We already switched seats. English is not my first language, so there may be some grammar and spelling errors. So, last summer I went on vacation in Greece for a whole month. It was so great to see all my friends again after a year. I am half Greek, half Dutch, and have been living in the Netherlands for 5 years. To fly back home takes a whole day because connective flights and such. We booked a whole row of seats and an aisle seat for me. Kay and the Greeks, who asked me to move one row back and at the opposite side so the wife could sit next to the husband. As they were flying to a foreign country, I was nice and gave up my seat and went to the aisle seat the wife was sitting. After a while the couple said, "Oh, you have the middle seat." I was confused because the wife was sitting at the aisle. And I said that was not the agreement and I want my seat back. The couple said, "Oh well, now we have switched, nothing you can do," while they grinned and laughed, thinking that they played me. I was pissed because they were a holies, but I noticed that the attendants were shutting the plane doors, so I just smiled and told my family to calm down and that it all will be alright. So after we have took off, it's a 3-hour flight, so it's not that short. I was still in an empty row. I had all the space to myself and was comfortably lying over 3 seats that I had to myself. The couple noticed and made a sour face. They asked if I could move to my original seat. That's when I said, "Oh well, now we have switched, nothing you can do." It was amazing to see my whole family and the surrounding seats trying to cover their laughs. Even the flight attendants were grinning. Next story. If I get penalized for 1 day, then I will be out for 3. I have since graduated high school and college and now work a different job. The job I am currently working is not the best atmosphere, and a lot of people do not like it for various reasons. It is very obvious, like most places, that they do not care about you and treat you as a number. Well, about a month ago I got sick, allergies and changing weather, which typically happens this time of year for me. I missed a day of work, and because it was not scheduled UTO or PTO, I had to take an occurrence, which basically is a point against me, and if I get to 5, I will face disciplinary action all the way from a write-up to termination. This number resets on the anniversary of you starting. Well, I am the only programmer because the previous programmer quit. Well, when I missed that day, I received an occurrence, came to work because my supervisor needed me to show a company who bought our old machine how I programmed it. I still did not feel 100%, but was no longer running a fever, so I obliged. Big mistake. By the end of my 12-hour shift, I felt like shit and felt worse. I told my supervisor and he said, "Well, take tomorrow off, but it will be another occurrence." This kind of pissed me off because due to their rules, you can miss 3 days in a row and it is only one occurrence. But if you miss Monday, Wednesday, Friday and go to work Tuesday, Thursday, that is 3 separate occurrences because you came back. So I said screw that and came to work the next day feeling sick but not getting another occurrence. I could have used UTO or PTO, but I had recently passed my 90 days and therefore had maybe 4 hours of both, which would not cover my shift anyways. So fast forward to the present, as in a week ago, and I probably got a stomach bug. My immune system is not that good, and my wife works in pediatrics, so she is always bringing me new things to help try and build my immune system. So the week that I got the stomach bug, we got a new machine to replace the one we sold to another company. A representative came out to train the operators and show the new software. Unfortunately, that morning he came, I had my head in the toilet. So I called out, which now makes it my second occurrence. The next day, still not feeling the best, I did not go to work, still only one occurrence. The third day, I really could have went to work, but after 2 days of feeling like shit, I really wanted to get rest and be well recovered. So I come back on the fourth day to find out that they had to pay this representative a good bit of money to keep him here until I came back so I could learn the new software. Which made my boss, plant manager, mad. He actually came to me and asked why I was sick for 3 days, and was it really 3 days of sickness? I told him the truth. I could have came back one day to get that training, but was afraid the next day I would have had to have miss. Which means I would get 2 occurrences. So instead, I took the safe route and gave my body 3 full days of recovery so I don't risk it. This obviously made him upset, and now him and my supervisor are aware if I am out sick, it will always be 3 days, if I can afford it reasonably. He even tried to pull, well, we are a family around here card, but that changes nothing in my eyes. The company I work for is owned by another company that owns 14 other companies like us. They are the ones that control 99% of the rules, so by me doing this, the plant manager has no way of stopping me. Corporate would have to pass a new rule. I also, starting January, will receive enough UTO and PTO to cover a sick day here and there, as well as get a long weekend of paid vacation. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel or posts.